Hey there guys, welcome back to Hold and Modify. It's Q here coming at you with the Amiga 1200 and a PC laptop, but we don't really care about that.
This computer will rule the world.
This is going to be a quick little adventure of just going over the 1200 and some of the fun things I do with it, some of the things you can do with it. Probably seen a lot of different Amigas sitting on this table in the last week or so, for those of you that have been playing along at home. But I wanted to spend a little bit more time in this just to show some of the fun, neat little things that we can do here on this computer, and also explain some technical things like the laptop in a little more detail, and the fact that that is hanging precariously over that speaker. So stick around if you want to see some of this stuff. I'm sure it'll turn out fantastic. So the laptop, is, you've probably figured out, that's doing my actual screen capture off this 1200 using OBS. Now, I do apologize that if we do open up an interlace screen, I have tried everything I can think of in OBS to de-interlace the Amiga's output, and it won't do it. It refuses to do it, so it's always like wiggly, 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 shaky. So for now, hopefully we're just staying in regular, non-interlace mode as much as we can. Most Amiga games and demos and software, as you can see, are non-interlaced. You can set Workbench to high-res mode, and that's what we are in. I should point out, we are in PAL mode. This is that ViewSonic monitor, which I've shown on my channel before. Matter of fact, I got this monitor a couple years ago. It can actually handle native Amiga modes in PAL and NTSC, a limited amount. It can handle high-res interlace, a couple others, low-res interlace. So it's a pretty handy monitor to have. It's a modern flat panel that can handle the Amiga signals. But this 1200 has a little trick up its sleeve. Let's get around to the back. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but if we zoom in down there, you can see I'm using a VGA output from the 1200. Now, this is not to be confused with a Indivision Mark III flicker fixer. That's why we're having the whole flicker issues, right, with the capture. This is simply a scan doubler. It takes whatever signal's coming out of it and just doubles it. So if it's PAL or if it's NTSC, it's going to double it. It's very dumb and simple, but it works. And it gives you a nice, clean VGA compatible images. In fact, we don't need this with this monitor, actually. I have it installed in this 1200, so why not use it? Like, I could take the 1200's native RGB output, and I could go into this monitor, and it would work. But you know what? You got a scan doubler. It actually cleans the signal up a little better, even than the native Amiga. But let's get over to, let's go over to the hanging box of doom here. Let me walk you over here. This is why it's extremely important that you screw all of these little terminals in. See all these little guys here? Make sure these are screwed in so that when you're doing foolish things like dangling this over the edge here, this is my splitter box. We go into this box, we come out of this box, go to this monitor, and then go to this capture thing here. And that's how this all happy thing works, right? Very important though, make sure you use thick, chunky cables. Look how thick these are. These are not the standard, blue colored VGA cables you can get cheap. They have a really thin wire. This is a thick boy cable, right? You can even see the old school one here is even thicker, but these are the thickest ones I can get. It's important because it really does help eliminate or stabilize jail bars and other weird stuff. Now, I'm not going to be showing you the filming off the monitor for this entire presentation of Hold and Modify, YouTube's most poorly produced, underproduced channel. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys see the feed over there from the capture, but I just wanted you to see what's going on out here. All right, so now you guys are getting the capture feed, so hopefully this will be a lot cleaner for you, so I can fumble around and hold the phone however I want. So yeah, going back into the Workbench here, it's a basic Workbench install, right? And if we go into, let's go into Tools, and we do a quick show config, you can see what's going on here. It's a really basic setup, okay? It's basically a 68020, which the 1200 is, and then it has one of those fast RAM 6882 FPU cards installed. The card has 8 megabytes on it, so you need that 8 megabytes in order to run programs like WHDLoad. So yeah, you don't have the fastest Amiga in the world. You've got enough speed to run games, even games that are going to be using in fact, I'll just show you, some games like this, like Gunship 2000 and F-15 Strike Eagle 2, World Circuit. These games are pretty CPU intensive. Like, these are sim games, simulation games. You think I got to type, right? Look at all these simulation games, right? I like my sim games, guys. Well, those really take advantage of having a big CPU. So that 68020 comes in handy, and some of the games, they're really rare, actually use the FPU. Having the fast RAM, though, is critical, right? You need that fast memory so that WHDLoad can do its WHDLoad thing, which is the big miracle that it does. It takes floppy-based games and allows them to be played from the hard drive, right? And then you can wrap fancy front ends around the top of them to actually execute them. So you can do it like you're seeing here, right? I'm going to one of these folders and be like, yes, I want to play 3D Galax. And you get this, usually, generally, not all the time, but most of the time, you get a really cool icon and it's like, ooh, that looks so cool. You can double click it. You can play it right here, right? It'll fire up. This is one way to do it. And then, like I said, there are front ends that exist for all of these. And one of the front ends is iGAME. You guys are probably familiar with that, or maybe you're not. So let's fire up like demos only. So this is going to be a process that's not entirely quick. Like I said, 68020, there's a lot of data on this Amiga, right? You got to remember, guys, you got to think back in time. This was a long time ago. This is really old stuff. This is like 30-year-old technology. So here you go, right? Here's like a list of demos. This is one way to do it. All right, so I believe you hit F10. Most of the time, it's F10 or Escape or some other key to get out of WHDLoad. So that is one way to get in there and try this stuff out. It's iGAME, and there are other front ends, but iGame's probably the most popular one. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of utility software in here: Disney Animation Studio, Final Copy, TurboCalc, very exciting, especially around tax time. Like emulators. Look at this. You can emulate other computers on your Amiga. Of course, many say only Amiga makes it possible, and it does all the things, right? One of the other neat things though about this little installation of the Amiga game Selector, at boot up, it just drops you into, I don't know, lazy friendly way of doing things. So let me show you that. Okay, so as you can see here, so you turn your Amiga on, you've got this nice little interface. I know a lot of people have talked about this. I know a lot of people have shown this, but I'm just showing it to show you everything you can do on this 1200 right here. And yes, we have our Epix 500 XJ joystick, the greatest joystick ever created. And you can use this to just click down through and find stuff, right? Adult games, we love adult games. So let's go by genre, click the button. We're gonna do, I don't know, let's do adventure action. And yeah, another world, right? So you go ahead and just click that. And again, I'm just clicking the button on the joystick. It's gonna fire up the familiar WHDLoad kind of workbench looking interface. Look at that. Okay, I clicked the right things. Now we got another world playing. Legendary game. Great intro. I'm sure you've all seen it a million times. Or if this is your first time seeing it, enjoy, although apologize for the audio and me talking over it, but my audio is terrible. I don't have audio capture. I got to figure that part out. But yeah, this is a very Blade Runner, inspired type intro. That Cyber Noir. Just amazing an achievement in animation for the time and the tricks and hacks that we used to make this happen. Just super, super cool. So you can get into the game, play the game, use your XJ500 to play it. And then when you're done, you can use this, press F10 or hit escape, sometimes press delete, or, sometimes none of those keys work and you get to watch the entire game and play it. All right, I'll be right back. Here we are, we're back in Workbench. One of the things about emulation, right? So we have all this awesome real Amiga stuff. I don't know, again, you guys can leave a message in the comments if you want, if you have an answer for this. Also, like and subscribe, of course, if you like this. You can also download it, that's fine too. But when using an emulator and you play mod files and stuff, you have the ability in the emulation to mix the left and right channels back together a little bit, because one of the problems, these Amigas, a lot of people had them hooked up to their computer monitors, their 1080, their 1080S, actually their 1080S, which is a stereo monitor, but the speakers are like, 10 inches apart, right? And a lot of Amiga mods have this issue where, out of design, or maybe it was the early days of music, or it's a limitation of the technology, the left and right panning of sound effects and music effects is really aggressive, like almost overly. It wasn't as noticeable back in the day, I think, because when you had the monitor, the little speakers were so close together that you didn't really notice that sitting at your desk, right? But when you hook up like a nice stereo set of speakers to your Amiga, you really start to notice mods that don't quite have a nice mix of left to right, audio. So in the emulator, at least, you can force some of the left and some of the right audio to kind of blend back together. You can reduce the stereo separation. I was looking all over Eagle Player and Deli Player, and I could not find that. So if you guys know anything about that, that would be helpful. Otherwise, yeah, it's like you really have to tow your speakers in here or keep them as close together as possible. And God forbid, like you have your speakers in like a home theater setup where they're, 14 feet apart or something. It's ridiculous. It's like it's two different mods playing in the room. All right, so hey guys, that's it. That's all I got for this 1200 for now. I hope you enjoyed this kind of impromptu video on this. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I guess I'm done with this one.